Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are living that strange moment of the year where the regular season is not quite over. Yet the future already starts knocking loudly on the door, and while there's still one final game left to play, the organization has its eyes firmly fixed on what comes next, traveling across the country, sitting in cold stadiums, taking notes, and imagining how the next cornerstone of the franchise might look wearing burgundy and gold. This is the unglamorous but absolutely vital side of football, the part fans rarely see, where scouts crisscross the map during the biggest college games, not for entertainment, but for answers. And this time the answers may have come loud and clear during the college football playoff showdown between Oregon and Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl, a game that quietly carried massive implications for Washington's future. Scouting in the National Football League is never about a single afternoon, but there are moments when a player can crystallize months of evaluation into one undeniable performance, and that is exactly what edge rusher David Bailey did on that stage. The Commander scouts were there in person, watching every snap, every burst off the line, every hand fight, and from the opening drive, it was clear that Bailey understood the weight of the moment. On the very first series, he exploded around the edge with rare speed, flattening his path to the quarterback and finishing with a sack that immediately demanded attention. The kind of play that makes evaluators glance at each other in the stands because it confirms what the tape has been saying all year long. Washington's need for a pass rusher this offseason is no secret, and within league circles, Bailey is widely viewed as the most complete pure pass rusher available in the upcoming draft class. Other prospects bring power, others bring effort, but Bailey brings a blend of speed, technique, and instinct that is hard to teach and even harder to find. Ruben Bain Jr., for example, is a strong and disruptive presence and had a huge game against Ohio State, but he does not possess the same explosive first step or refined pass rush toolbox that Bailey consistently puts on display. Against Oregon, Bailey did not simply win once or twice. He lived in the backfield, constantly forcing the Ducks to adjust protections and rush their quarterback's internal clock. Physically, Bailey looks the part in every sense. Standing at 6'3" and weighing around 250 pounds, he combines long arms with powerful hands, allowing him to engage blockers on his terms and shed them with ease. Throughout the game, he showed an advanced understanding of leverage, dipping his shoulder, chopping hands away, and bending the edge in a way that translates seamlessly to the professional level. Even when he did not record a sack, his impact was undeniable. One particularly telling moment came in the third quarter, when his relentless pressure forced a hurried throw that resulted in an interception, a reminder that disruption matters just as much as finishing plays. Bailey's production throughout the season backs up what the eyes see. He leads the nation in pressures, sacks, and quarterback hits, establishing himself as the most dominant pass rusher in college football this year, and his performance against Oregon only added another emphatic chapter to that story. For scouts, this was not about potential anymore. It was about confirmation. Watching him live, seeing the speed in person, feeling the rhythm of the game tilt when he was on the field, all of it reinforced the idea that he could be a franchise-changing defender at the next level. Of course, every elite prospect comes with questions, and for Bailey, the primary debate centers on whether he can be a true three-down player, especially as a run defender. Critics have wondered if his game is too focused on rushing the passer, but against Oregon's strong rushing attack, he answered those concerns with action rather than words. While Bain may still be the more naturally powerful run stopper, Bailey showed that his speed, explosion, and ability to slip blocks allow him to penetrate the backfield and disrupt runs before they fully develop. His run stop rate sits at 8.4%, placing him comfortably in the upper tier, and when you consider how quickly he gets off blocks, it is difficult to imagine him being a liability at the professional level. What excites teams like Washington even more is the fact that Bailey is only 22 years old as a prospect. His frame can still add strength, his technique can still sharpen, and his understanding of offensive tendencies will only grow. Pushing him around is not easy now, and it is likely to become even harder once he enters an NFL strength and conditioning program. For the Commanders, who are expected to be in position to select from a pool of elite talent in the upcoming draft, Bailey represents both immediate impact and long-term upside, the kind of player who can anchor a defense for years. While the future offers hope, the present has been defined by frustration, and no discussion of Washington's season is complete without addressing the self-inflicted wounds that have plagued the team. Head coach Dan Quinn has been candid about the areas that drive him crazy, and discipline, particularly before the snap, sits at the top of that list. In football, not all mistakes are created equal, and while some turnovers can be contextualized or minimized, the penalties that kill drives before they ever start are the ones that truly haunt a coaching staff. The Commanders lead the league in false starts, a statistic that Quinn openly despises, and the impact of those mistakes goes far beyond raw totals. According to league tracking, Washington has committed 30 false starts that directly resulted in 17 stall drives. When you consider that an offense averages roughly 11 possessions per game, that means the team has effectively erased more than a full game's worth of opportunities simply by jumping early at the line of scrimmage. Add in 3 delay of game penalties and 3 illegal shifts, and the offense has piled up close to 40 pre-snap fouls with 1 game still remaining on the schedule. Holding penalties have also played a role, with 25 such infractions stalling an additional 5 drives, though Quinn has noted that those are at least part of the natural chaos of competition. Still, when you combine all of these penalties with 21 giveaways, placing Washington among the 10 teams with the most turnovers this season, the picture becomes painfully clear. Nearly 4 games' worth of possessions have been lost due to unforced errors, a devastating figure for any team hoping to build consistency and confidence. Injuries have undeniably contributed to the season's collapse, but Quinn has not shied away from pointing out that undisciplined play has spiked at the worst possible time. While there was a stretch in November where penalties seemed to stabilize, December told a different story. Against the New York Giants in mid-December, Washington committed 11 penalties, followed by 10 more against the Dallas Cowboys, producing back-to-back double-digit penalty performances during a crucial stretch against division rivals. Leading the team in penalties is rookie offensive tackle Josh Connerly Jr., a fact that comes with some context. As a first-year lineman who transitioned from left to right tackle and faced elite edge rushers early in his career, some growing pains were expected. What is more concerning is that veteran players have also struggled with discipline. Cornerback Marzon Lattimore sits second on the team with 9 penalties despite not having played since early November, and established linemen like Laramie Tunsil and Javon Kinlaw each have 8. Even second-year lineman Brandon Coleman has been flagged multiple times in recent weeks, underscoring that this is not an isolated issue or a youth problem, but a team-wide challenge. As the season winds down, the contrast between what Washington is now and what it hopes to become could not be sharper. On one hand, there is the frustration of penalties, turnovers, and missed opportunities. On the other, there is the excitement of watching a potential franchise pass rush or dominate on the biggest stage, giving scouts and fans alike something to dream about. The Commanders know there is work to be done, and Quinn has been clear that discipline must improve before the next regular season arrives. Whether that progress pairs with the arrival of a game-changer like David Bailey may ultimately define the next chapter of football in Washington. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The whispers coming out of Washington have that unmistakable tone of something big brewing behind closed doors, the kind of low hum that usually precedes a franchise turning a hard corner. When people around the league start leaning in and lowering their voices, it is rarely about something small, and the feeling right now is that the road toward 2026 is quietly being paved with bold ideas and aggressive imagination. There is a growing belief that the organization is preparing for a defensive overhaul so deep that it could barely resemble what fans have grown used to, while at the same time sketching out a daring plan to give Jayden Daniels a completely new kind of weapon on offense. Nothing is official, nothing is confirmed, but the dots are starting to connect in ways that are hard to ignore. The defense is the first place where the rumors really start to heat up. Inside conversations suggest that the current structure is being evaluated from top to bottom, not with the goal of patching holes, but with the intention of redefining the entire identity. The idea floating around is that Washington wants a defense that is faster, more interchangeable, and far more aggressive in how it attacks space. This would mean moving away from traditional labels and leaning into versatility, with defenders who can blur the line between positions and create confusion before the snap. People familiar with these internal discussions describe it as a philosophical reset, one that prioritizes disruption over containment and chaos over predictability. What makes this speculation even more intriguing is the sense that this is not about a single splash move, but rather a coordinated series of decisions stretching over multiple seasons. The belief is that by the time 2026 arrives, the defense will be populated by players specifically chosen for this vision, not leftovers from previous plans. That implies difficult goodbyes, unexpected trades, and a draft strategy that may surprise fans who are still emotionally attached to certain names. The front office, according to the chatter, is willing to endure short-term criticism in exchange for long-term coherence. And that kind of patience usually signals confidence in a larger blueprint. While the defensive rumors alone would be enough to stir conversation, the offensive side adds an entirely different layer of intrigue. Jayden Daniels is viewed internally as the axis around which everything else should rotate. And the sense is that the organization wants to be proactive rather than reactive in shaping his environment. Instead of waiting to see what he becomes, the plan appears to be about deciding what he should become and then building toward that outcome. That mindset naturally leads to the question of who will be catching passes from him when the stakes are at their highest. The name of a new target keeps surfacing in speculative conversations, though never loudly enough to be pinned down. What is clear is the profile. This is not just about adding another receiver, but about finding someone who changes how defenses have to line up against Washington. The rumor mill points toward a player with size, fluid movement, and the ability to win in contested situations, someone who could be trusted when the play breaks down and Jayden Daniels needs a bailout option. At the same time, there is talk of speed and vertical stress, suggesting that this hypothetical target would force safeties to think twice before creeping forward. Some insiders go a step further and suggest that this new weapon might not fit the traditional mold at all. There is speculation about a hybrid presence, a player who could align in multiple spots and create mismatches by simply existing on the field. The idea is that Jayden Daniels thrives when he can read leverage quickly and exploit hesitation, and a versatile chess piece would amplify that strength. Whether this comes through a bold trade, a carefully planned draft move, or a surprising development from within, the expectation is that the offense will look different, more modern, and more tailored to its quarterback. What ties the defensive overhaul and the offensive ambition together is a shared sense of timing. 2026 is not being viewed as a distant horizon, but as a checkpoint, a moment when the project should be clearly visible to everyone watching. The internal belief seems to be that by then, Jayden Daniels will be fully settled. The defense will have shed its growing pains, and the roster will finally speak a single language. That kind of alignment does not happen by accident, and it requires decisions that might feel uncomfortable in the present. Fans, of course, are left to read between the lines and interpret the silence. Every vague quote, every non-committal answer, every roster move that does not quite make sense on the surface becomes fuel for speculation. When a veteran defender is mentioned in trade rumors, people wonder if it is part of the larger defensive reset. When a receiver is brought in for a visit or praised publicly, it sparks theories about whether he fits the rumored profile for Jayden Daniels. The absence of clear answers only makes the narrative more compelling. There is also an undercurrent of urgency in these whispers. Washington has lived through cycles of half measures and mixed messages, and there's a growing sense that the current leadership understand that clarity is no longer optional. The decision to potentially tear down and rebuild the defense suggests a willingness to commit fully to a vision rather than hedging bets. Pairing that with a deliberate effort to elevate Jayden Daniels implies trust, not just in his talent, but in his leadership and adaptability. As these rumors swirl, the broader league is paying attention. Other teams are aware that a defense redesigned for speed and confusion can become a nightmare to prepare for, especially when paired with an offense that can strike quickly and unpredictably. If Washington executes even part of what is being speculated, it could shift how opponents approach matchups in the coming years. That possibility alone is enough to keep rival scouts and executives quietly monitoring every move. In the end, what makes this moment so fascinating is the balance between mystery and momentum. Nothing has been announced, nothing has been guaranteed, yet the story feels like it is already in motion. The talk of a completely reformulated defense and a new offensive focal point for Jayden Daniels paints a picture of a franchise trying to reinvent itself with intention. Whether these rumors solidify into reality or dissolve into off-season noise, they reflect a belief that Washington is no longer content with incremental change. The road to 2026, if these whispers are to be believed, is being designed to lead somewhere bold, disruptive, and impossible to ignore. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.